Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Rachel Dahl joins us. She's president and publisher of the Fallon Post. A lot going on. We'll have it all here on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
You work hard, early mornings, late nights, and cutting hair is just the start. Last year, 9 out of 10 Nevada HealthLink enrollees got financial help on their health insurance. At NevadaHealthLink.com, our plans are made for your plans.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
You're your own boss. There's no clocking in or clocking out. There's only getting ahead. Nevada HealthLink is the only place you can get federal financial help on private health insurance. At NevadaHealthLink.com, our plans are made for your plans.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome back to the program Rachel Dahl. She's the president and publisher of the Fallon Post. Thanks for filling in for me last week. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Let's start out with probably the biggest news for the region was that the military appropriations bill went through and the Naval Air Station is going to have its expansion. How do the locals feel about this at this point?
Well, of course, it's been contentious the whole time, and it's tricky because this community supports the Navy like none other. And the Navy tells us that often, how much they appreciate how much this community means to them and how good the relationship is. But when you're looking at that kind of an expansion of like 500,000 acres, of course, there's going to be some concerns. And the negotiations went on for 6 years. So it's been contentious for a long time. I think we've had 3 different commanders as we went through this process. But people support the Navy, and the Navy's been, everyone's worked together, the tribe, the county, the city, and put together a deal that I think everyone can live with, just depending on who you talk to. But there were several concessions, and the county ended up with a land spill that can be used for economic development. A pot of money that the Fallon tribe got money for a cultural center. The Walker River tribe got money. So, there was a lot of concessions.
Bruce Breslow was on the program and said that, and he represents Churchill County, and he was saying that because of the way Fallon is as a community, that even with the growth that's going to come with this, that it's still going to remain a community as it always has. Do your readers feel the same way?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're all here together, and there's the interesting thing about our base is there's very little Navy housing, relatively speaking. So many military families live in town, and we're all friends, and we all think very highly of each other. So in terms of community with the Navy, that'll be strong. There are issues with housing that are kind of ripping a bit of a void between people there. And it's interesting. And I'm sure every community is like this, because every time you see, it's this really ironic plethora of comments and complaining because there's no housing, and there's homeless people, and there's homeless camps, and we need housing, we need housing, we need housing. And then developers come and they find places to build housing, and multi-family housing is not a normal product here. I mean, it's a rural Nevada community, so we don't have 3-story apartment buildings, but that's one of the solutions to this housing problem is 3-story apartment buildings, which then all of a sudden no one wants a 3-story apartment building in Fallon anywhere. So you've got developers and you've got community leaders who know that that's a way that we can get at this problem. But then you've got this other batch of people who are like, no, we cannot have that kind of a product here. And no, you're not going to build 400 houses on this 170 acres. So that's ripping things apart right now more than anything.
And there is a major national developer who's come to town, a national builder,
yes,
and building well over 100 homes
yes,
to go along with this Navy expansion and the new aircraft that's coming into the base, that is the latest military jet fighter. So, I mean, the growth is going to come no matter what.
Well, and we get so much of the industrial park in Story County. So much of the housing for that has kind of come this way, the demand for housing. So we have I want to say a ton. And what does a ton mean? A lot of people in Fallon work in that industrial park, and a lot of people in Reno have moved here to work in that industrial park. I run into my students, you know, I used to teach school, so I'll run into my students who are 20, 21 years old, and typically they would either be going to the community college or they'd be working at, you know, being a checker at Safeway, for instance. And they're like, Miss Dahl, I work at Panasonic, and they're making like $20 an hour and making more money than any kid we ever knew is making. And of course they live here and they want their own place. So we also have, you know, when I was doing economic development in 2013 here, the big thing we would always say is we need to find some industry so our kids will stay. Well, now our kids are staying and there's no place for them to live.
It's definitely an interesting situation. I'd been thinking for a long time, I mean like the last 10 years, that Fernley and Fallon and then eventually Silver Springs would be where the housing would have to come because the housing was just not keeping pace for Reno Sparks. And so you would have to see rural Nevada gaining housing. But the issue to me, it seems, because of the roadways, is that you need to have some kind of, not literally an RTC, but some kind of organization between the counties to have a transportation system. I know that Tesla and Panasonic are doing this privately, of organizing buses and transportation. But is there any discussion from the county or the city in terms of transportation to and from TRI? And that's before we even get to the Hazen industrial park that's coming. Right.
So there was, when I was doing economic development and on the board of the Western Nevada Development District, that board was looking at transportation from Fallon and Fernley and the Silver Springs side. Elected officials were having those conversations, and I think those conversations are ongoing, but it's, you know, there's another service you've got to figure out how to fund. But that's a huge problem. The other problem, Sam, is that if you live in Fallon and you need to be at a doctor's appointment at 4:00 in the afternoon in Reno, you just don't do that to yourself, because that traffic between Fernley and Reno is so horrible. So I don't want to make anyone at NDOT mad, but you know, or Lance Gilman, sweet Lance, I remember when he sold that first piece of property in TRI, and he said, he said, we're not gonna be providing the houses in Story County. That's not our problem to solve. And so as this has continued to grow, one of the things that's just a hot mess that people who drive that road every day know is that traffic on I-80 is completely out of control.
And the mayor of Sparks wants to build a road that goes out of TRI into Sparks rather than widening I-80. And it seems like, that's going to be the project that goes forward rather than seeing a widening of I-80. Lee Gibson, who is the former head of RTC for Washoe County, says you can widen I-80, but either way, you're talking a huge amount of money.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine the cost. But if anyone went from TRI to Fernley, at 6 a.m. or 3 p.m, they would just know something has to be done. It is so unsafe.
Yeah, and that's part of it. I mean, the other part is if you're going along USA Parkway, heading towards Silver Springs, the wild horses are an issue as well. Everybody loves the wild horses, but it's a very dangerous road if you're traveling at the speed limit and you suddenly come across a pack of wild horses.
There are horses everywhere over there. And then if you go down 6 Mile Canyon to Dayton, that whole area around Dayton, and the state did put fences there finally from Dayton to Silver Springs, which has made a difference. But still, I can't believe every time I go through there how many horses there are.
Yeah, and
those are state of Nevada horses too. I know we talk about the Department of Agriculture. Those are not BLM wild horses. Those are state of Nevada estrays. So then you have that whole issue where those are state horses, and you get into some weird, tricky politics, which, JJ Gogachia knows probably better than anybody, and now I guess is in a position to deal with that.
Yeah, he's now the head of the Department of Agriculture under the Lombardo administration, which I think is going to be...
Next time I see him, he won't talk to me because I just said that. He'll be like, Rachel, stop talking about wild horses.
Well, I can't think of a better person to head up the Department of Agriculture just because of his experience. This wild horse situation is fascinating to watch. And positives and negatives on both sides, but man, the people who love those horses, and that includes Tesla and the owners of TRI, I mean, it's a lot of support, and yet there are problems on the other side of it. Let's talk about the Hazen Industrial plant that's going to go in there that will be, in terms of development, probably as big as TRI. Not so much in acreage of total acreage, but in terms of developable acreage. What are the local residents in Churchill County and Lyon County thinking about that?
I don't think that, I think there's a wait and see attitude about that, because there's been, for the past 20 years, people have been going to develop that. When it goes, it's going to go big. And one of the beautiful things about that spot in the world is the rail. So potentially that just has so many ramifications. But none of these issues that we're talking about, housing, water, we haven't talked about water. Can you imagine how big of a problem they are right now? And then if you have that kind of growth right there?
The old story about water is that if you got enough money, you can bring water.
Right.
So obviously there's a lot of other hurdles that you have to go along with. Let's take a break and we'll talk about water when we come back. More with Rachel Dahl after this.
Jet into the Carson Valley Inn for cash and getaway giveaways. Cash and free play drawings every Thursday and Saturday with a $1,000 winner guaranteed each drawing night. And grand prize giveaways including $10,000 in cash or the ultimate Hawaiian vacation package guaranteed. It's the cash and getaway giveaways only at the Carson Valley Inn.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
It's the 10 million point Break the Bank giveaways at Tamarack Casino. Plus, win your share of $50,000 in cash. The 10 million point Break the Bank giveaways plus $50,000 in cash at Tamarack Casino. Now through February 25th. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rachel Dahl. She's the president and publisher of the Fallon Post. Please subscribe. She could use all the subscribers, as all newspapers could these days. We talked about J.J. Goa-Kachia, now director of the Department of Agriculture. James Settlemeyer is now the director of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. There's been a big water study going on. Tell us what you can about that.
So the Carson Water Subconservancy, along with the USGS, United States Geological Survey, we in water, you talk in acronyms all the time, like military. So at the local newspaper, you're shifting gears into what acronyms mean what. But on the Carson River, there's a study being put together by the different stakeholders on that river. And they're going to be looking at the impacts of withdrawing groundwater and the impacts that has on the Carson River, which is surface water, of course. The water rights on the Carson River have been over-appropriated. The groundwater basins are all mostly over-appropriated. And so it's going to look from Minden and Gardnerville all the way down to Silver Springs at the potential of, well, really the impacts that growth has on the river and the water rights associated with that whole area. So it's a really interesting, very necessary process, I think. There was a meeting in Silver Springs mid-December to talk about all of these different issues with all the Carson River stakeholders. And then the people who are putting the study together, the various consultants and government officials, have been going to each of the communities asking for the money to pitch in to pay for it. It's going to be, I think it's around $700,000 to do the study roughly. They're putting together like $400,000, and then U.S. Fish and Wildlife is going to match or come in with the rest of that. But that study is really, really necessary as the state engineer starts to have to make decisions. You know, we're talking about all this growth over here, but the Minden, Gardnerville, Dayton, Silver Springs area, Carson City is no different. And water, you know, where are you going to get the water?
Yeah, and you know, Silver Springs is another area that is going to see dramatic growth over the next 20 to 30 years. And any water study, the results of that and the obvious lawsuits that will come from it, that's also a 20 to 30 year plan. I mean, I've talked about this on the show a million times. When Senator Reid did the negotiations for the Truckee River Operating Agreement, it literally took 30 years to get that done. And that was with somebody who was as powerful as he was. Still, the negotiating was incredible. There's another industrial park that I just wanted to bring up, which is the Victory Logistics Park in Fernley. That one seems to be booming.
Booming.
Yes. What kind of effects are you seeing from that?
There are no employees anywhere. You can't get anything built as fast as you need to because you can't find people to swing hammers, as they say. So the employee shortage just continues to grow. Those buildings are like, they're building 800 square foot buildings in there. Some of them are on spec, and some of them, I believe there's a couple that are a company is building.
I believe that's 800,000 square foot, right?
Yeah, what did I say?
800 square foot, which would,
yeah, no.
How's an RV?
It's like a tiny home. No, 800,000 square foot buildings that they're building, for over there. And it's spectacular to see that growth. It's in kind of two separate sections over there. So they're straddling the rail and they're on different ends of the community. So I anticipate that it's just going to continue to grow over there.
Well, they certainly have the land to do it, and they certainly appear to have the financial backing to do it. It's not just a discussion at this point. Let's take another break, and we'll hit water for our last segment here right after this timeout.
Jet into the Carson Valley Inn for cash and getaway giveaways. Cash and free play drawings every Thursday and Saturday with a $1,000 winner guaranteed each drawing night. And grand prize giveaways including $10,000 in cash or the ultimate Hawaiian vacation package guaranteed. It's the cash and getaway giveaways only at the Carson Valley Inn.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Snorkel personnel lifts are engineered beyond the industry norm to an uncommon level of safety and durability, and with an eye towards sustainability. They're also designed to be simple to operate and maintain. Snorkel, always at the cutting edge of progress.
It's the 10 million point Break the Bank giveaways at Tamarack Casino. Plus, win your share of $50,000 in cash. The 10 million point Break the Bank giveaways plus $50,000 in cash at Tamarack Casino. Now through February 25th. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rachel Dahl. She's the president and publisher of the Fallon Post. And I just want to send out a message. We have a lot of viewers and listeners in the Las Vegas area across southern Nevada. And if you're in the construction industry and you're out of work because the housing has slowed down there, there is apparently plenty of work in northern Nevada. And they should reach out, to the Chambers of Commerce, the Builders Associations, Economic Development, to find out what jobs are available.
Yes, Builders Association for sure.
Okay, let's talk about water. So, it's been discussed for a long time. There's a canal that goes from the Truckee River to Fallon. Over the years, and I'd heard the old saw that half the water leaked out of the canal because it wasn't lined. I've been told that that is not accurate, but a substantial amount of water has leaked out of that canal. What ended up happening was Fernley benefited from that leakage and was using that as part of their growth and what they needed. Now there's work being done, and what's been the effect of the work being done on lining that canal?
Yeah, so the canal runs from Derby Dam to Lahontan Reservoir. So it's about 20 miles west of Fallon, where that canal runs in, and it takes water from the Truckee, puts it in the reservoir, and serves water rights on the Truckee division of the Newlands project. And so the lining issue is really interesting, and this is one of the reasons that they are doing that study on the Carson side to examine the effects of groundwater and surface water, and when you pull water out of the ground, what effect is that going to have on the river? And so this is what Fernley's issue is. that canal has recharged their groundwater. And if that's lined, then what effects is that going to have on their drinking water and their ability to grow? But you remember the flood of 2008 in January, and all those homes, millions and millions of dollars lost, and nobody wants to see that happen. And so there's got to be regular maintenance on that canal, and the Bureau of Reclamation is requiring the district to line that portion. It was a much bigger portion, which would have had an even bigger effect. It's almost 3 miles now, that Fernley Reach, where all those houses are. So the idea is that it's going to be safer. It's going to protect Fernley from ever flooding again like that, is the theory. So there you go, another political, we got to line that canal, but what impact will it have on the groundwater? So Fernley has fought that lining project, but the construction just started last month. It's anticipated to take a year.
That's amazing.
While they're doing that lining project, there won't be any water running through the Truckee Canal. So the other impact is on anyone who owns a Truckee River water right in the Newlands project will not have water delivered this year. So they're, shifting gears in terms of farming, because there won't be any farming in the Truckee division this year.
Which is in itself a huge story. That's where we got to leave it. We're out of time, but that means, because I got 20 more questions for you, you have to come back.
Right. Okay.
Always a pleasure, Rachel Dahl. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. We'll see you on the next show.